Hello, Null fans. It's Michaela Edenfield, and this is The Throwdown. And today I have JJ as my special guest. And we're just going to bounce a couple of topics off of one another today and talk right before our game today. I think the weather's looking pretty good. I knew there was like drizzling earlier, but
And it was supposed to be windy today. I think that's hasn't been a thing yet. But
yeah,
it's good.
But JJ, let's get into some topics. How's the process been for you these past couple of games?
Honestly, these past couple games, it's been good. I kind of got off to a little rocky start, but I mean, it's the beginning of season, so you don't really know what to expect, I'd say. But yeah, definitely been feeling and getting a feel for the process a lot more lately, so it's been helping big time.
Right. And I totally get you. I think a lot of fans have like even targeted me in a couple of ways where I came in like hot the first like 2-3 games and then like everyone's like, oh, what's happening? And I think like people want to talk about the process, but it's like really, really hard to buy into it. Like yourself, but like the program and the fans as a whole, they just like always question. Like, how is social media like an impact for you on that? Do you take any notice of it, or you just kind of like it is what it is?
Honestly, it's not a big impact to me. I couldn't really care less what people have to say on social media. I mean, obviously, it's nice to get praise, but it's hard to look at praise and not look at criticism. So I'd say just eliminating that as a whole is probably a key part of what I'm doing right now, personally.
Right. And then like being somewhat of an upperclassman this year too, like have you felt like a responsibility, like a role as an outfielder to like take some other girls under your wing? Like what is it like as an outfielder? I wouldn't know. Clearly I've been in dirt my whole entire life, but like who is your go-to to talk to like during the process and figuring out like, hey, this at bat, like who's your lefty go-to?
Yeah. Honestly, it's not really so much of a player right now. It's probably more like rafter, practice wise and pre in the box type of wise, and then in the on deck. Then I'll talk to TCAM about just like confirming if that's a good plan or not, how to stick to it, kind of more pitch execution versus just going up there trying to guess or expecting something and then not getting it, and then that's a whole nother big thing. But I feel like us as outies, we do a pretty good job of communicating. There's not really any underclassmen in the outfield, so it's pretty easy to just literally talk to any of them because we've all kind of been there and been through it.
Right.
So I feel like that's also a key part into the success of us as outfielders and me personally.
Yeah, solid. Yeah. How was practice these past couple of days? Like I know we've been back to back with games, and Clearwater will smack you in the face if you're not ready for it. Like how was it like to have like a break for you individually and being able to like really process like your at bats and talking about like the good moments? Like let's talk into like what happened to Clearwater. Like what was your favorite at bat at Clearwater?
Well, they were pretty limited, but I'd have to say I can't even think of one. Maybe my first at bat of Clearwater against ULL. I just tried to go up there with a clear head and kind of eliminate that overthinking process that I usually struggle with in the box. So I feel like being able to do that and execute was huge for me in that time because, I was trying to feel out that part of it and was struggling. So to be able to do that was huge. I feel like the first at bat kind of set the stage for the rest of them.
And then like on to coming back home and playing these games, like being able to take that experience and understand that like opportunities are what they are and you can control them. Like what was it like to be able to get your opportunity and be able to execute at your level of expectation?
Yeah, definitely huge. Again, the mental game is very difficult for a lot of players. If you played, you understand that. And, if you're just a fan on the outside, be, I guess, respectful and
just be like generous.
Yeah, generous in that aspect of it, because that is such a huge part that, you fans might not witness. So I would say be respectful of that part of it and understanding that, like, we're trying to figure it out too, and it's not just something that can just play if you're not in the right headspace. And then, yeah, I feel like practicing this far has been nice. It's kind of hard to come back and lift heavy, but you know, it's part of the process, and you need to lift to stay strong and to stay feeling good physically for yourself. So I'd say it's definitely helpful, but practices do get a little bit harder this time of year just because it's hard not to go through the motions when you've just already played 15 games back to back to back to back to back, 6 games in a week plus. So
being able to find that like intent and purpose, like sometimes, like for me personally, like it goes into like somewhat of a negative route because like we come from these games where especially like I haven't been performing the way I wanted to, and like we get into practice and well, it's like, okay, well, you haven't been performing how you wanted to, so like let's get after it, and like
it's your time to fix it. So.
Right. We try to like get into some really specific stuff. What do you think about the recent S2 assessment? For those that don't know, S2, we did this little thing right before winter camp here, and quite literally figuring out who you are as a person and how your mind works to be able to process things that we do out on the field. So there was like, I think 5 or 6 different games, if you will, that we had to do where it was mentally challenging. It was like brain games of like you had to stop a ball in a square and whatnot. But now we're trying to like use that information and turning it around and being able to train us individually better. So like we understand like my perception is pretty low, but my instinctive learning is pretty high. So for me, like having a good idea of how I am going to get pitched will help me improve my chances of like swing execution rate. So you want to talk about how that's been helping you?
Yeah. I feel like just implementing it in the first place is probably the only way you're really going to understand it. So when I hit with Rafter, she's like, oh, your stopping control is low. So going from slow to fast is probably going to be more difficult for you. So kind of just getting cues and ways to understand and help me if that situation does arise. So, you know, like, am I going to leg kick here for a changeup, or am I going to, you know, start later? Like stuff like that is just kind of helps because I know I'm not good at that. So how can we make myself better at it? So that way, if it does show up, then I have something to fall back on rather than just going into panic mode because I'm like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah. So I'd say that is pretty helpful.
Sweet. Now, off topic a little against the softball talk. What was your favorite meal of Clearwater? Like we've had some pretty good meal orders recently, and shout out to KT, our director, and shout out to Coach Vic and Jackie for helping out like what we're doing nutritionally wise. But the hotel food was not a popular choice amongst the girls.
No.
So like we typically get like bowls and stuff where it's like chicken, rice, like some vegetables, but like you think it would be hard to mess that up. It's really
pretty easy to mess it up.
Yeah. Like if the chicken's too dry, that's a no for me. Like catering is very like hit or miss sometimes, and some places are better than the other. So it's like Fresh Kitchen or Bole.
I think okay, for Bole, I love their rice and their teriyaki chicken is great, but sometimes I just can't eat all of that. But when we got Fresh Kitchen, I actually got salmon this time, and it was so good. I literally ate the whole thing, and I never finished my bowls for pregame meals, so that was pretty huge. So I'll probably have to say Fresh Kitchen.
Yeah. I got the steak, and it was pretty good. And I got like the sweet potato like noodles. I was like, all right.
Those scared me.
Right. It sounds scary, but like they're actually really good. Like it's surprising.
They're clear. They look very scary. Very scary.
Okay. And what's coffee walks is like a huge thing for FSU softball. Like always we stay at a hotel within like I want to say like almost like a 2-mile radius from a Starbucks. Like Kocha is going to get her coffee. That's part of her routine, and now it's become like part of our culture, like I think. So like a bunch of us have like specific things we like to get, and we like all of us go on our apps and we order ahead of time, so that way it kind of helps the time. We can just pick it up and leave. What is your coffee order?
I can't lie, I'm a sweet girl, so I cannot drink coffee if it's straight black or not sweet. So I'm definitely getting cold foam, and I'm definitely getting extra caramel sauce. And honestly, whatever I get. I think I get white chocolate mocha right now. Is what I usually go to. Very basic, I know. Cold foam, really? Yeah. Extra caramel sauce? Yeah. I'm definitely getting it. And with the chocolate croissant, because that's just a must.
Okay, but for non-away games, you get the same thing? Go through?
Usually, because our games are kind of around the 2:30-ish time zone, I'll usually try to get a smoothie before, if I don't get Chick-fil-A in the morning, because that's also a must for me.
Right. So today we have a doubleheader against UMass and Colgate, and typically we'll always have like a in-between game like snack. What's your opinion on it? I think recently we've been having some ins and outs, but I think we've got something stable now with the like chicken and shrimp skewers. They're pretty good.
I like getting the smoothies in between.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's kind of hard to drink the smoothie and eat the food because they want you to do both. So it's like I'm not a huge eater in between games. So if I do both, then I'm going to be feeling like so full before the next game. So honestly, I'm just trying to find that balance. Like, do I drink half the smoothie and eat one kebab, or do I eat two kebabs?
Two kebabs.
Not drink the smoothie
that'll be my next question. It's like I'm gonna ask people. So like 3 kebabs, 1 smoothie. Like what's
Like, I don't know the ratio yet, if I'm being honest, because
we're all figuring it out. Yeah, but I think that's a staple now. Like typically we've like bounced around from like Gordo's, getting some catering from them, and then some like tzatziki place one time that was
like a meat tray. That was not.
It was
not my favorite. I don't think I ate
that
day.
I promise, they spoil us, and in no way are we trying to like put like I think this is better, you know.
I'm picky, to be honest. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not a big vegetable girl. I don't eat many fruits, so on that range of it, I'm definitely picky. Love you, Jackie. Don't hate me. I will eat it. That was convincing.
I hope it's convincing. Oh, and like, what are you like most looking forward to for this season?
I just say probably figuring out who Team 40 is. I feel like we've already been tested, battle tested, team tested, mentally tested. Like we've already faced a lot of tests.
Brain assessment.
Literally within like 15 or so games. So I feel like just kind of figuring out who we are and how we can make that last through the duration of the season. And then honestly figuring out who I am personally, because that's also been something I've been working on. So
yeah, that's always a constant battle. Like you're constantly changing as a person, like on and off the field. So I completely understand. I had an advising meeting the other day, and it was like, we were talking, and she was like, yeah, like you're on track to graduate in the spring, and then like I'll have another year after that. And she was like, so what's the plan? Like we could stretch this out, and you could be taking like some, you know, little classes or whatever. Really. But I'm gonna plan on getting my master's in communications for my last year. So it's just like really odd now that I'm like getting the shift of age, and I can feel myself like slowly getting out. Oh, it's such an odd feeling. Yeah. And then just like sitting down and thinking like, wow, in a year, like I'll be graduated from Florida State, my undergrad, and then I'll be going to grad school. Like that's really weird.
I had mine this morning. Well, my second half of mine this morning, and with my grad check with the department person, I was like, wow, this is getting very real very fast. Like,
so it's so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And then personally, like I don't know about you, but like I just like think about like little freshman me, like the first month that she was here. Like I would have never guessed any of this would have happened. Like I feel like it's such a change. Like coming here to Florida State, to the softball team, like the culture here, like will change you. And I know I said my freshman year, like I talked about it all the time. I tell people like the reason why I chose Florida State was because I want to go somewhere that's going to change me as a person, both on and off the field. And like it's done everything. And like I would have never guessed like NIL was going to be such a big thing for me. I would have never guessed I would have had a podcast. I would have never guessed that like things would have opened up for me like this. So it's like pretty cool to see that, and thinking like I'm turning 21 next week, and then it's gonna be 2 years after that, and I'll be like, peace out, Girl Scout, and I'll have like FSU softball alum on my thing. And that is so scary to think about. But like, what would you say to like freshman you?
Honestly, I don't even know, because I mean, obviously you try not to come in with expectations, but they're obviously there. Like, you come in, probably performance is the one thing that you know that you want to accomplish besides obviously school stuff. So I feel like that just, honestly, I have no idea. Like, it's just been so different from what I expected, but not because of everyone here, just because my freshman year I got injured, had to go through all of that, stayed the summer, rehab. So it just obviously didn't start how I expected it to. So honestly, now I have no idea what I would say to my freshman self. I mean, I guess look how far you've came.
I would tell freshman me to buckle up. It's about to be a ride.
It is not over at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just some closing thoughts. Like Team 40, like our mantra is let's ride, and it takes what it takes. Like, what do you think about this year and our mantra, and like how that takes to you personally?
Yeah. I kind of like it. I like our let's ride mantra. I feel like my favorite part of it is rugged, because I feel like it literally can apply to all situations. And I feel like to be my best self, I have to be in it and compete and, just be present. So that rugged piece really speaks to me, and I love getting after it and being able to say that I was rugged or saw someone else being rugged, or, just stuff like that. That's so weird. You guys probably never heard the word rugged in a sentence so much. So
yeah, so it's like ride, we have an acronym for it. So the R in ride is rugged, and then we have intentful, dependable. It is dependable, right? And energetic. We had this big debate when we had our program, our lovely program, and I think someone said durable instead of dependable for the D, and I was like, I didn't even know. Like, don't get me wrong, like we definitely have like a bunch of things culture-wise that we say, and a lot of there's a lot of words, and like words, meanings, everything's a little different, but I think that was like the one thing we didn't go on as much as I thought we were in the fall. Because I feel like everything else you could ask me any other phrase in Florida State softball dictionary and I got you. But like when we were at the program and they were like, what does RIDE stand for? I was like,
all of us were
like, I was looking around. It was Mudge that had to answer. And I was like, Mudge has definitely got to know. Like, she would be the one to know like what RIDE is. And then I was like, I know the R was rugged, but from there on out, I had no idea. Yeah. But and just like a quick shout out to you and your social medias. Like, where can people follow you and keep up with JJ?
On Instagram, JahniK_. I do have a TikTok, but I'm not great at posting on that. Trying to get better at Instagram as well. So yeah, I would just probably say Instagram, JahniK_.
All right, guys, and that was it for today's Throwdown. Thank you so much for watching, and once and always, go Noles!